Forza Motorsport is considered a staple in the racing game industry. Today, we'll talk about the fourth entry, Forza Motorsport 4. By some, it is considered as the best game in the whole series, not only Motorsport, but the entire Forza series. It has a great car list, great track selection, and a great progression system. Really great. So the main difference between Motorsport games, at least older ones, and Horizon games is the progression system. For example, if you play Forza Horizon 5, you'll be gifted a lot of cars at the beginning, like the Toyota Supra, the Chevrolet Corvette C8, the Ford Bronco, and it's extremely easy to unlock new cars. So when I got Forza Horizon 5, it took me around 30 minutes or 1 hour of playthrough to get something like a Lamborghini or any proper car, really. So, and in Forza Motorsport 4, you really have to work your way up to the good cars. So you start with a little selection of a few cars like Nissan Micra or Ford Ka, I think, the newer generation one. So it takes a while to get to the good cars. So I want to play Forza Motorsport 4, but the biggest problem that I've met is that I don't have a proper Xbox 360 to run. By proper, I mean that mine Xbox 360 is severely jailbroken. And it was jailbroken a really long time ago. So it has the Blades interface, which is like 2008, and it's jailbroken in a way that it plays burned discs. And I, in 2024, don't have the proper equipment to burn discs, nor the time to get the equipment and update the firmware. It's impossible. Well, I mean, it is possible, but I don't know how much time it would take, because I can't resolder stuff. So I decided to resort to emulators. And from personal experience, I know that emulators are not stable at all. Well, if you look at PS2 emulators, for example, to play Gran Turismo 4, it works neat, because PS2 is a 2000 console, meaning it's 23 years now. Means if you have a good enough PC that was released after 2000, you can run PS2 games, if you have the proper hardware, once again. But in case of PS3, it's a much more complicated technology. So that was the previous experience, the RPCS3 emulator. Through the RPCS3 emulator, I ran Gran Turismo 5 with Master Mod. It took me hours, literal hours, to get working. I had to resort to help on Reddit, to related servers. In the end, it worked. The mod ran, and the game ran. It was far away from stable. The textures were sometimes bugging, the headlights in some cars were black, and you need really specific equipment to run. For example, as far as I know, if you have a Ryzen processor, that's a instant no, and I think it requires really specific architecture. Like, my friend has an Intel Core i9, and he could not run the Gran Turismo game, because the i9 somehow cannot support this specific game on the RPCS3. And I have an i7, and I have a quite decent PC, so you need a quite decent PC. So, in my opinion, when you have the resources for things like the PS3 or Xbox 360, you can buy a second-hand console, so it's less fuss, you're playing the original game. But in my case, I did not have both, so I decided to get an Xbox 360 emulator. And it was relatively easy to install. But once again, without a proper mod, the game did not work. Well, it did, but it had some bonuses, like untextured roads, whatever this is, square shadows, and much more things that made the game literally unplayable. So the mod is called Forza Motorsport Plus. The mod creator's name is Gassen Games. He released 2 other Motorsport mods for 3 and 2, if I remember correctly, yeah. And the 4 mod was relatively easy to install. Using his guides in the download file, it took me roughly 10 minutes or so to get it running. And it was worth it. The game did not crash anymore. Literally, it worked really smooth. Well, there's one issue. I have a 2K monitor, and the game can't run on 2K. Well, if I set it to 2K, all the textures become bugged, the cars become like this purple no texture color. Yeah, so it's not worth it. So when I play it, the resolution is a bit pixelated for my screen. So, not talking, let's get into the game itself. And I'll show you before that two specifics of the both emulators. Alright, so if we take a look at the RPC3 emulator, you can see that it has an actual settings panel. So, I think it's in config, yeah, you see there are settings, there, yeah. In the Xenia emulator, and the Xenia emulator is the Xbox 360 emulator I use, Xenia can rebuild, because the Forza Motorsport 4 requires Xenia Canary, not the default Xenia emulator, and it has a config file instead of a setting UI, so you have to change everything in this config file. It can get a bit tricky, but yeah. So, let's run the game. I'll plug in the controller. So the main thing is I play on the DualSense controller for the PS5. And if you rebind it, it runs pretty smooth. There's vibration and everything nice you need for a racing experience. So in order to run, we press File, Open, and usually you will run the ISO file. But once again, you need the ISO extractor. For me, it will be simpler to just give you the guide somewhere and just show you the game. So default XEX file, and there we go. It runs with an intro, full screen mode. Really. So I have played this game for a while, as you can see. I progressed to this Dodge Viper. Actually, an Ultima, I forgot that I solved it. As you can see, there is this interface. Simple, I like it. So, World Tour.
The Expert Division is the longest season yet and challenges you to master some of the fastest road cars available.
You've got this really epic style.
Today's race takes place at one of America's fastest venues, Road America.
This is the career mode. There are classes, and I really like classes in racing games, so just not horsepower and it's split into classes. And yeah, it has some preview bugs like this. So, about the car roster. If you go into free play, quick race, there are loads of cars, like really loads. Even from unfamiliar brands maybe for you, like really obscure like Rossion and a few others, like Spada. I really like that they include Spiker in game, because this brand is unused. Viper is a separate brand in this game for some reason. I even got the Viceman, okay. I mean, they go as far as including Saps in their game. Let's take something like the Spiker, just to show you. That's on behalf of cars. And these are the maps. So you've got a lot of really good fictional tracks, real tracks. And I have not seen that in many games, but there are point-to-point tracks, like Fujimi Kaido. I think it's only one. There are very much layouts. Full circuits, 10 miles. I'll take something simpler, like Stage A, just to show you. Canvas back, okay. Here we go. I have the US version of the game, so the units are in miles per hour, and you can't really change it. And you can see the pixelate injection. Sense of speed, so because many games lack a sense of speed. This one has a sense of speed. About diversity, they go as far as adding TDIs into the game, like this Q7. It's a very grand car. I don't know how you would imagine it on a racetrack. Yeah. You can see there it's a Q7. There's a 90-degree steering lock. Well, I mean it's in Forza Horizon games to this day. But I haven't played much Forza titles, like I played a few races on Forza Motorsport 7, but in this case I really enjoyed the game. It's really immersive, it has a great car roster and list, it has a great track selection, great gameplay, great set vibe. So if you want a Forza game that is actually great and enjoyable to play, you should get Forza Motorsport 4, because in my opinion, from the new Horizon games, you don't get any enjoyment, because everything is handed to you on a silver platter, while here, you actually need to work your way up. Thank you for watching, goodbye.